Africa is where the best creatives live. And so we need to keep sharing our work with the world. Put it out there, share it with the world.
Welcome to Afrika Design, the show that takes African design to the world. Brought to you by Nairobi Design Week. I'm Adrian Jankowiak. On this episode with Daniel Ampofo, we discuss design mentors.
Nana K.Duah is an identity designer here in Ghana. At the time, he was one of the people who really shared a lot of his work. You could look at it and then love the work that he had done.
Ghanaian creative talent, Beyonce music videos, the future of designers in society, and much more. He's the founder of DexGhana and Artmosphere, a design community and education conference. He's the creative director of 93 Studios, a VP at Hacklab Foundation, and a design writer at his own website, iamdanielampofo.com, where he covers topics such as working for exposure and how to start in design. At the end of the show, you'll get to enjoy Top of the Morning, a song by Clef and Bandana. Head to nairobidesignweek.com for more episodes of the show and follow us for daily community updates. Thank you for joining us, first of all, Daniel.
Sure.
It's been a few weeks since we last chatted, I think, and decided to have this podcast episode. So it's been nice going over your content and listening to all the episodes and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just the change of circumstances, because of the coronavirus. So how has that affected you and your community?
So, coronavirus came with its positives and its negatives. Even though the negatives outweigh the positive, because, for a lot of us, it kind of brought a stop to some of the things that we were doing, especially when you take a look at even the event we wanted to organize. The negative was that we were not able to have a physical event, but the positive was that we are able to have people outside of Ghana join our event this year, and even have moderators and speakers from outside the country join the edition this year. So I think that COVID has had a lot of negatives. In terms of business, I can say that for a number of creatives that I know, it has been a really good season for them, considering that a lot of businesses have been trying to take their business online. And so the need for more creatives and designs and photos and videos and all of that have become very instrumental in this season. So I know for a number of creatives, they have been, even though things haven't been good, they have been super excited because they are getting a lot of projects, and also the opportunity for a lot of them to be working from their homes. And I know a lot of creatives are masters of this. Working from home is a thing that a lot of creative people do. So I think that even though it has had its negatives, there have been some positive sides to this whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that you're saying that as well. I was on a call just this week with creatives, designers all across the world, and someone from Russia said that the feedback from their community was that working from home is proving, to be something positive for them. Yeah, so for many people, it seems that there hasn't been much change, or maybe there's just been more emphasis on remote working.
Exactly.
You just talked about your festival and your conference this year, so I'd love to know more. Tell us about DexGhana and what it is, why it exists, and what you do.
Okay, so I'll take you back to a few years ago and kind of share the journey of how DEX came about and what we are trying to achieve. So for me in particular, I graduated the university BSc in physics. That's a surprising part. I actually graduated as a physics student. And as a physics student, right from year one, and even before entering the university, I had been so excited about how things look and how things appeared and the beauty of things. And so that was what led me into design. think I shared a story like that on my personal blog that I set up, why I even decided to start this entire process. And with this journey as a physics student who was trying to find my space within design, I mean, I came across a community called Artminded. I mean, for Artminded, I always mention it everywhere I go. And Artminded kind of opened and exposed me to other designers, some really, really good guys who kind of contributed to how well I got when it comes to design. And I mean, you share your work with the team, they critique it, and then you go back, work on it. You share the critique it, go back and then work on it, and then it started shaping how good I got when it comes to design. And so along this journey, I mean, a lot of creatives, we like to work from out of coffee shops and all of that. So I started working out of a coffee shop when I was done with uni, meeting clients, doing some design work here and there. And then sometimes at a coffee shop, I would have a few friends who'd pass by. And then when they do pass by, we sit down and then we have a very long conversation about design in Ghana, talking about creative work, talking about each other's work and all of that. And they were very exciting and insightful times for all of us. I mean, sometimes we could sit there for 3, 4, 5 hours just talking design and all of that. And so at a point, we realized that these were conversations that were fruitful. I mean, every one of us left these small gatherings very energized and very charged to keep doing more. And that is where we decided that, okay, no, we were going to start something that is going to bring us designers together. For some people who are self-taught, like myself, and I have friends who were in design school, I mean, who were studying design as their degree program, and I picked a lot of nuggets from them. So we thought that, okay, it would be a good idea to have, I mean, a physical gathering of all of the guys we had in Artminded and a few of our other design friends. I mean, for all of us to kind of come together and then just extend these conversations that we were having. And so, I mean, I sat down with a few friends. I said, hey, Charlie, let's get this. Let's get this on the road, and then start this small meetup, and then start the discussions and all of that. So we sat down, we developed all of the creatives, and because we're designers, that came to us easy. We sat down, developed the full identity for DexGhana, and we called it DexGhana because all we wanted to do was to create experiences for designers, and so we called it Dex, which stood for design experience. And when we created the artworks, we set up the social media pages. And we said, okay, we're going to share this amongst a few of our friends and then just have about 30 people in a very small coffee shop and then create these conversations and then I mean, just chat. Now, when we put out the artworks, this is where we were hit with a surprise and realized that we set up the event on, a lot of people started saying, hey, I want to attend. And so we decided, okay, then let's just set it up on Eventbrite and then have people register to attend. And with Eventbrite, we could put a cap on the number of people. So we set a cap of 30. And in 24 hours, the 30 slots were full. So, and it was exciting. We talked to the team, okay, guys, what do we do about this? Because we don't even have a very huge place for this. And so we decided to extend it by an additional 10. In some few minutes, the 10 slots had been taken as well. And we decided to extend it again by another 20. And then those slots were full as well. In the end, on the very first, on the day of the meetup, we had about over 120 people showing up. And from the conversations and then the networking that we had, we realized that this was something the community needed because more people wanted to connect with others. I mean, people on that day, people met people they had been following on Instagram and on other social media platforms for the first time, and they were super excited. I mean, people walked up to me telling me that, oh, I have been following you on social media and I love your works and I like you to look at some of the stuff I've been doing. And it was a great platform for a lot of us. It gave us so many memories. And we decided, okay, then from the event, people said, you need to be organizing this more often. I mean, every 3 months, you should organize this. Every 3 months, you should organize this. And we said, okay, let's give it a shot. So in 2 or 3 months later, we decided to organize another one. And the number grew. We had over 300 people showing up. It was quite big. But I mean, because it was self-funded, after that event, we thought about it and said, this thing could grow. It could grow beyond us. And so we need to kind of sit down and then look at all of the other things that we can do about it and think about it very well. And so we decided to make it an annual conference or annual design festival rather than the very small meetups. And also so that we are able to kind of prepare adequately for it and also have some really, really good system to make it work. And then with the next event, we had over 600 people show up. That has been the event we did last year. I mean, this year, the idea was to even go bigger and have over 1,000 people was our target. But then because of COVID now, it has to be online. So we know it's definitely going to be more than that. So that is the story behind DEX, and it has been a really good experience so far. We have been able to build different verticals from DexGhana and even looking at extending it beyond those verticals.
Nice. It really seems like you've got a very vibrant and young community, and everyone seems to be enjoying it. The images and the videos, and it's got a very kind of energetic vibe to it, especially as well the brand identity, which I'll ask you about in a bit.
Yes.
But so considering you've got quite a young community and you've mentioned mentors already had quite an influence on you, and also on your podcast you mentioned mentors quite often. So who are the mentors who have influenced you and helped you develop?
For me in particular, one of the main reasons why we decided to set this up was because of this very same question. So in Ghana, for designers in general, a lot of designers like to kind of hide in their own small shells and silos. For me, I can say that the greatest of mentors that really influenced my journey were the circle of friends in the art-minded WhatsApp group that I had. Those became like the immediate mentors that I had for this entire journey. And then there was Nana K.Duah. Nana K.Duah is an identity designer here in Ghana. At the time, he was one of the people who really shared a lot of his work online. I mean, he was one of the people who really put a lot of his work out there, and then you could look at it and then love the work that he had done, and then be inspired to keep getting better. And so for him, I used to kind of observe him from afar and then look at a lot of the works that he was doing. Within my immediate circle, there were people like Josh, Ed, Rodney, Wiggles, Joel. All of these guys were the guys who were part of the art-minded group who kind of really inspired the journey. So the idea of the DEX podcast was to kind of pull in these mentors, right? People who have done design in Ghana for a very long time, who have been exposed to a lot of things, but not so many people knew about them. So we were on a fishing mission to kind of find all of these people and then bring them to our events so that people can interact with them. So in our discovery, we met quite a number of people. We met people like Sharon Mills, who had been in the space for quite some time and was doing really exceptional work when it comes to design. And some of these people we brought them to our events. We found people like DeGraf Johnson, who was a design and illustration lecturer. We found people like Benjamin Inyan, people who had gone to the Cannes, Dela Avemega, Sunita, Emmanuel Bobiebo Pixel, who's a photographer, a well-known photographer in Ghana. And these are some of the people that we brought onto the DexLingo podcast so that people could hear their stories and get inspired. Because anytime you went online to try and find top designers in Ghana, you were not finding some of these people, but they had done really good work. And so we wanted to kind of put them out there so that people would know that when you go to these people, they are the people who can share a lot about the journey of design in Ghana and also be able to kind of help you on your. And so these people became and have become like mentors to all of us.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's important, very important to have those mentors. And we've really appreciated having mentors from the industry to work with Nairobi Design Week as well. And that brand identity, it's again coming back to it, and it's clear that you've taken some of the guidance from your brand identity mentors.
Yeah.
The letters of the DexGhana logo being used as visual elements and kind of in line with the flexible visual identities of today, so that they can be used as elements on a page and an homage to African patterns as well.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know more. What was the process of developing the brand, and what does the brand stand for?
Yes, so that's a really exciting question for me. And so I remember on the very day we decided to go with DEX, I sat down and then I thought about what we wanted to achieve in the end. We believed that the next generation of creatives in Africa were going to kind of change everything for the African continent, and it has become very obvious even from the recent documentary that we saw, recent album by Beyonce that we saw, and we believe that the African creative is going to be an instrumental part of, the future of the world, right? Africa is the future. So in developing this identity, we wanted something that was going to be flexible, to be fun and exciting, because for creative people, we are not so boring. And in developing this identity, I sat down and then I looked at the letters that we had to deal with. We wanted to go very straight to the point with DEX, because those were the things that people identify. But we also wanted to play with shapes that we could easily resonate with. Now in Africa, for a lot of times with African identity systems, Africans are very fun people, right? We love our music, we love our dance, we are happy people, we are naturally bubbly. So, that also formed a fundamental part of this identity that we designed, to make sure that whatever we were putting out there was something that anybody could see and kind of connect with as an African. The excitement of African people, the fact that we are always happy, the fact that we are always having fun, the fact that we are always enjoying moments through music, through dance, through entertainment, and all of that. And those were some of the things that really influenced the identity. So, the logo itself, I shared it with a friend who became a part of the team, called Ed. And so when Ed saw the identity, he said, wow, I love this. Let me work on the extensive brand elements. And he picked it up and then he blew it up in terms of playing with the shapes, the patterns, the colors and all of that. And it really resonated with the two of us, because we believe that Africa is a happy place, and Africans are fun. And that is where our identity for the entire DEX Artmosphere stemmed from.
Thank you for that. That's really, really interesting. Clearly, Ghana has quite strong brand identity design and quite a strong brand identity industry.
Yeah.
So which design industries from Ghana in particular should the world be paying attention to? And what would you like to see more of from Ghanaian design?
Yeah. So for a period of time that I have been working in this space, just like you're saying, I think that the identity design industry in Ghana is a really, really strong one. But one of the industries that I am seeing grow for some time now is the animation and then the illustration industry here in Ghana. For some time now, we have been seeing some pretty really good guys emerging in these spaces. I would say Ed is one of those people that is really doing well in terms of animation. There are guys like Eli Dross and Kisiwa, people who are into the digital art space. All of those people are doing very well in contributing to the illustration and then the animation space that we have in Ghana. That space has become one of the spaces that I'm honestly really looking up to growing, because I believe that is one of the spaces that will be telling some really good African stories. People like Louis Cage have really been doing a good work when it comes to using animations to tell very simple African stories. There was Indigen Bros. Indigen Bros did an animation on Azuma Nelson, and so and premiered it at the Silverbird Cinemas. Those are some of the people I'm really, really rooting for when it comes to design in Africa. I can see how animation is really going to grow in Ghana, and it's one of the spaces that a lot of these guys are really, really doing their best to evolve. I think for the second thing, for me, love that a lot of Ghanaians keep sharing their work. I think that for me, it has always been one of the challenges that I've had with a lot of Ghanaian creatives. For most of them who are doing really, really good work, you don't find them sharing their work. And so that is why DEX became a part of the picture, just to kind of open all of these people up, and so that they share their works and they put them out there. I mean, people, going back to animation, I just remembered one name, Natasha. Natasha is doing really, really good when it comes to illustrations and animations as well. And Natasha presented at one of our events. She shared her works, and we really, really loved it. And so for me, it's more of having the guys, the creative guys in Ghana, put out their work. It is very, very important to me that they share whatever they are creating to inspire the world and to put Ghana and Africa in general out there. That, yeah, this is where some of the best creatives in the world live. So I mean, with DEX, for instance, our vision when we started used to be Ghana, where the best creatives in the world live, and we changed it to Africa, where the best creatives in the world live. So that is our vision. We want people to look at Africa and say, yes, this is where the best creatives in the world live.
That's really good to know about Ghanaian animation. I'll look forward to checking some of it out. And actually, when you mentioned Africa, where the best creatives live, Nairobi Design Week started with the idea that obviously the first people came from Africa, the first humans were African, and the first people to create things were people designing in Africa. So design is made in Africa.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that so much. And I think that basically tells the entire story of, I mean, what we also stand for. So I love that. I love that.
Good. So tell me more about some of these creatives in your community who need a shout out, who, you know, you've said that more Ghanaian creatives need exposure. So who are the ones who need shout outs?
That's going to be a pretty tall list here.
That's true. How about you give me either 3 projects or 3 designers who are doing something who you've seen that are top of your mind right now because they've done something recently?
Okay, so I mean, for me, one of the very first people, I mean, that comes to mind is I always mention Ed runs Lime and Annie. So Lime and Annie is like a creative studio here in Ghana, and I'll definitely mention Ed first because I mean he brought a lot of life to the DEX in particular, and he has been doing some amazing projects. You can check out Lime X Annie on social media, and then when it comes to the creative work they are doing, really exceptional. I think that I would want to probably hit in different spaces in 3D and animation. In 3D in particular, one of the people that really calls out to me is Ora. Ora is run by Ewusiwa and I think Seiram. They are really, really doing amazing when it comes to 3D design, and so they are one of the groups of people that also really calls out to me. And then I like to kind of give a shout out for all of the amazing work that they are doing in the creative space here in Ghana. And maybe I'll add just one more person. Maybe, okay, wait, so I'll add Josh. Well, yeah, I'm being biased. I'm mentioning my friends because, yeah, I love their works. But, yeah, Josh also really calls out to me. I mean, he runs a YouTube channel. I mean, a lot of people can check it out. Joshua Cleopas, he does film, he does photography, and he does design. So pretty diverse, but really, really good. And I'll mention one last person that is pretty good. He also kind of is very, very diverse in a lot of spaces. And he also has Kidako online. He does film, he does 3D animations as well. And he's also one of the people that I'd love to give a shout out to. And these people, I mean, I'm shouting out to these people because, yeah, they are also groups of people who really inspire me when it comes to design, and their work are all over social media. I'm sure when you check their names out, you'd love what you see.
Awesome. So you'll send me the details, and we'll put them into the description for the podcast.
Perfect. Share the links to your website.
Awesome. So you have a big education emphasis, as we've talked about already.
Yeah.
And you've talked about things like current degrees being too long and other things about how you might envision a a design education system.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be, at this stage, because our thoughts evolve and change, but at this stage, what would you envision a dream design education curriculum to be?
Okay, so, well, I mean, we had a conversation on a topic like this with a woman called Farah. Farah used to be the HOD for graphic design department in a school in Ghana, and a few things that she talked about really stood out for me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and with that conversation, she highlighted a few things that really caught my attention about the fact that design education should be very practical, and for everybody to be able to kind of enjoy an education like that. For a lot of times in our minds, we think that a design education should teach you every single thing that you have to know, right? For many people, the practicality of a design education should really involve industry expertise, so that when you finish designing and you go out there, you are able to kind of fit within industry in general. And one of the things that in the conversation really stood out for me was that one of the reasons why, they allow students to intern with agencies and design and creative spaces was because they wanted to allow for students to be open and exposed to industry as well. And so that whilst the school is doing their part in doing maybe the theory and the other practical parts, the agencies and then the creative studios would take care of being able to kind of help them fit into the creative industry and then the creative spaces. And so for me, I think that so far, even though the work that is being done isn't still where we wanted to get to yet, I think that it's a good start, because here in Ghana, for almost everyone who is in design school, you are actually forced, it is compulsory for you to do some internship with a creative space, and then that is able to balance what you are learning in academia and the experience that you get in industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a designer yourself, what are some of the projects that have pushed you creatively?
Phew. That's a good one. I think one of the projects that has pushed me creatively is a project that I'm still working on right now. And unfortunately, I might not even be able to share full details, but I think that one of there's a second to that project is another project that I worked on for a digital library business that's called Perbicubs, and Perbicubs, what they do is they use and that happened during this COVID time. So there used to be a physical library where they used to set up in various schools, and then they give the kids access to reading books, and then they read the books, and then they take some quizzes on them, and all of these things were done physically. But because of COVID, the entire thing has had to be migrated online, where the books were going to be now digital. So they will use an online platform to share the books to the kids, and the kids read them right from their home. And it was a very daring project, because then we had to kind of build right from the identity, developing an identity that is exciting enough to get the attention of the parents and then the kids themselves while they're at home, and then from building the identity, being able to translate that same identity into whatever content that went on to social media, and to create the kind of excitement that we wanted to get people to get on board this program. So I could say that, beyond the one that I am working on now, Perbicubs seems to be the project that has been, that has really pushed me, because it got me to kind of think beyond being just a creative to even thinking as far as being like a digital strategist and content creator, to look at some of the things that would really succeed online for the brand.
What about some of the challenges you faced with DexGhana that you can tell us about?
Yes, with DexGhana, I can say that one of the major challenges, I think, that you do this would be funding, right? And also because, this is more like an NGO And so we are not really running any business out of this. It has been more of trying to help the community grow and get bigger. And so we have been kind of self-financing the entire project and the entire event with some support that comes in very rarely. Last year, Stanbic kind of helped us secure a venue, and so that was one of the great contributions to this. But yeah, funding has been the core thing because we want to be able to scale some of the activities that we have been doing or we plan on doing. The circles I was telling you about, like the sensors that I was telling you about, all of these are things that we have been looking to scale. One of the major challenges, yes, has been and the funds to kind of organize the initiatives and the programs. And so for some of them, we sometimes have to get creative. For a series, we did some really cool creative T-shirts and then merch, and then they brought in some good money that we used to run some of the initiatives. And beyond this challenge is also the fact that because all of us in the team have our full-time jobs that we do. Sometimes finding the balance in between the two has been one of the challenges. But I think that the goal is huge. Where we want to get to becomes the ultimate thing that we all look up to. And so we still find ways and means of committing our time to it.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of creative organizations, obviously, and organizations in general, finding lack of funding to be an issue, especially at this time. So what about, you've mentioned your ambitions for DEX. So what about some of the longer term ambitions for what you might imagine to be doing in a few years?
Yes. So ultimately, for us, one of the core things that we believe to be in the future for us is to be able to kind of have an influence in design policies in Ghana, to be able to kind of control the design space so much so that when the government wants to make any decision that involves design, the government probably wants to redesign something. If it's a 100-year anniversary, the government is looking at design a 100-year anniversary logo. DEX should be in a position to either contributes to it or help with that entire process. To be able to get to the extent of influencing certain policies that the government is going to put out there around designers in Ghana. Those happen to be our very long-term goals. We want to be able to be in the middle of every conversation that has to do with design in Ghana, and ultimately extend it to Africa as well. Of course, with other partners like Nairobi Design Week, to be able to kind of contribute to, like I said, ultimately, the very long-term vision is to tell people that Africa, where there's creatives live. But in our short term, we want to be in the middle of every conversation that has to do with design in Ghana, whether it is from the government or it is from private bodies as well. That is our very long-term goal.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think shared ambitions through many communities. It's something I hear from designers from across the world. I think designers want a seat at the table, don't they?
Exactly.
And to get that seat at the table, we have to prove that we deserve to have it. So it's by, I guess, proving the things that we're creating are having an impact and showing that impact and being able to communicate it to the people who need to hear it. Yeah. As well, right?
Yeah. That's very well put. So yes, there have been these conversations all the time where designers want to have a seat at the table, and it only makes sense because I was just saying earlier this morning that the future is design and data. Design is a very instrumental part of our everyday lives. And even during this COVID season, it made this very, very clear. Everything that was put out there about COVID-19 was probably designed by someone. And so that's how powerful design is in this era that we live in. And so I would say that, yes, having a seat at the table is very instrumental, which means that, the work has to be done by us. And so that is why, as a matter of fact, one of the things that we are working on is the circles that we have been looking at having in the various institutions around us, just so that we can kind of start grooming and mentoring designers to have the right attitude and then the right skill, and then the ability to even contribute heavily when they are given the seat, or when we are given the seat at the table. I mean, you can't ask to have a seat at the table and not be able to contribute anything meaningfully, right? And so we want to, through these initiatives, be able to kind of groom creatives and also finish them with some of the soft skills that they will require to be able to be a very good contribution.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking abroad and across the world, are there other countries' design scenes that particularly inspire you? And are there ways that designers work in other countries with governments and other larger entities that really sets an example?
Yes, I think that one of the, I mean, also because, yes, the US has always been one of the countries that a lot of people kind of look up to. I think that for me as a designer growing up, they used to be one of the people that one of the countries that I look up to when it comes to design, in the sense that you could pick people like Chris Do, who also contributed a lot to, I mean, a lot of designers here in Ghana, I mean, watch a lot of his YouTube content, and I mean, he happens to be in the US, and so it became the closest country that most of us looked up to when it comes to design and how it works in their system. And I mean, so a lot of times we are here analyzing how some of them are getting paid over there, how their industries are working, how their systems are working, how even the government how even their government looks at design. I think even for them, sometimes they do complain, but I think it's way better than it is over here. How they are critical about the designs that they put out there, how they pay attention, and so how it is so important, how design is so important to them. I mean, beyond the US, for some time now, I have been trying to kind of look within Africa, because yes, I got tired of having to always look up to the West for these things, and then I started looking down at Africa to kind of identify how design in Africa is also beginning to look like. And so it's one of the things that actually led me to the Nairobi Design Week, to kind of really look out there and then see what is happening in other African countries in terms of design. Really wanted to, and it's actually an ongoing thing that I am doing. There's an ongoing research that I'm doing, trying to really look into Africa and then see what countries taking design, this whole concept of design, let me say personally, and are pushing the agenda. And I mean, when I took a look at Nairobi Design Week, I was really impressed with all of the work that was being done, and I enjoyed it. And Nigeria is also one of the countries that I have been looking at, and I've also been loving what they do. I think what I like about them is the fact that yes, they are really putting a lot of their work out there, and then they are raising they are one of the countries that's really raising the standards when it comes to design in Africa. So yes, there has been Nigeria and it has been Kenya. Those are the two countries. Well, so far I have been able to kind of dig a little bit into.
It's really great that you've been reaching out and that you reached out to us. I'm sure that we've come across DexGhana before, and it's interesting that you mentioned Christo, because, and we've talked about mentors. He seems to be a mentor to an entire industry globally, and you know, that's clearly openly the mission. Right, it's 1 billion creatives, right?
Exactly.
So definitely, if people haven't yet come across the Future and Chris Do and that entire team, then it provides value, and they're literally upping the ante for the entire industry in many countries, because the designers who are going to learn from all of that in the next 1, 2, and 5 years and beyond are going to provide more value to their economies. So that's a really great thing.
Yes, 100%. And also, I'd like to add that so for me in particular, I mean, for the next few years, what I'm also looking up to is for other African creatives to kind of also stand out tall and also be able to do stuff like the Future has been doing. I mean, especially because I mean, they have I mean, we have lived in the African system, even though, yes, a lot of the things that Christo shares are awesome. I mean, all of us, just like you're saying, he's become like an industry leader. I mean, and he has made very big contributions to almost every single creative I probably know. I think that I'm also looking forward to having an African, get to that point where they also become let me say in quotes, an authority in the design space across Africa and also the world as well. So yes, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to.
Absolutely, same here. And I guess that's what these podcast platforms are for, aren't they? To allow more people to have a voice and to hear the stories and to learn from them.
Yes.
You've mentioned Nigeria as well and Kenya. Have you had an opportunity to work with designers in other countries in Africa or beyond?
In terms of conversations, yeah, I've had some conversations with a number of designers outside of Africa, but we haven't really worked on any projects yet. I'm really sure something like that will be happening very soon, because I'm on a project right now and it involves a Nigerian agency. So, well, the possibilities are there with this project, but so far I haven't. And I think that, I have been looking at all of these spaces and I'm hoping that we get to do a lot of collaborations. So there's one of the speakers for DEX Artmosphere this year called Tunji. So Tunji also runs a group in Nigeria called DearDesignr. Yes, so it's a design community, let me put it that way, called DearDesignr, and he's one of the people I reached out to for the edition this year. And he's actually talking on the power of collaboration, because yes, I wanted to open up that conversation about collaborations, and I am really hopeful that that would open up a lot of conversations about us collaborating with other African countries.
Yeah, it's always good to know your own community as well, and know how you can represent Ghana and help to bring in other people from Ghana when you're going to people who are abroad as well.
True.
Yeah, but that's a really good thing, and I'm looking forward to the things we're going to be collaborating on as well.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm really, really stoked about it. I mean, when I reached out to you, you were very helpful. You have been helpful so far. I mean, the very first conversation that we had was a really good one. I enjoyed every bit of it and all of the help that you gave. And I am already foreseeing some major collaborations between us, and I think that this will start us on the journey of kind of bringing all of African creatives together and to collaborate with one another as well.
Yeah, definitely. And what are some, going back to your podcast as well, what are some of the most important things you've learned so far from all of your podcast guests?
Okay, I think that I'd say about 2 or 3 things really stand out to me. The very first thing is collaborations. I mean, so for me, because of that, I have become someone who is very keen on collaborations. Collaborations have become very, very important to me. It's the very first thing that I learned from them. The second thing that I learned was the fact that we have to be extremely strategic about the work that we produce. We need to be very strategic about the work we produce. It always has to be something that is more functional rather than something that is just off your thoughts, especially when you're dealing with clients, because you need to be able to defend the work that you are putting out there. You need to be able to get them to appreciate the thought process that went into the work, and so you don't have to be overly emotional about it. I think it's one of the things that I picked from Benjamin Nyan in particular about the fact that it is important to not get overly emotional about the work that you produce, but be very conceptual and be able to defend whatever that you are putting on your design, and be able to kind of explain why you have done what you have done, and that will be a winner for you. And then the last thing that I would say on this has to do with being able to be very, very attentive and be a great learner. especially because on this journey, you meet so many people along the way, and what you can do is only pick something from them. So learning is a very important part of this process for any creative at all. Be open to learn and be open to collaborate, and also be very, very strategic about the work you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important, as we always as well say, to share your process. And you mentioned don't get emotional about it, because it's not art, it's design, right? It's there to fulfill a brief.
Exactly. I mean, if it was art, then you could just do everything that you want right from your heart.
Absolutely, that could express more emotion on your part, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And also the importance of learning, that's true, and trying things and doing things.
Yes.
And we keep coming back to the importance of collaboration, and perhaps the role of designers as people who going forward are able to bring together collaborations, because through their empathy, through their creative problem solving and ability to bring people together. So another thing that's on my mind is, I was writing recently about the challenges that designers are going to face in the coming years and how their role will change. And specifically, I don't know if you saw recently, Artmosphere studio in Russia, a really cool design studio, developed an AI designer who for a year fulfilled client briefs, and they sold him off as a real person to their entire studio, apart from a few people.
Wow, I never heard of that. I would really love it if you could share the link to that with me. I'd really want to go check it out.
Absolutely, I'll share the link with you. They always do cool things and are pushing, but this really is kind of now showing what the opportunities are, because some of the tools we have access to already enable us to do, perhaps you could say, the basics of, graphic design or UX. So I'm very interested in hearing how you as a, UI, UX and graphic designer, how do you think designers need to face up to them?
Yes, so it's a very interesting question. I mean, in my design agency, one of the things that we actually do believe in, so it's part of the 7 values that we believe in, is that we actually say EI over AI. And we say this because for us, we believe that even though AI is going to really do a lot of work in design in the future. I mean, just like you're saying, I mean, these days, there are these online platforms that you input all of your details and in the end develops an identity for you. I think that one of the things that human beings can never do without is the human touch, and is a personal human element to all of these. I mean, sometimes even the conversations that your client gets to have with you. I mean, there are days that you could have a client call you and then you discuss business and then they share their ideas with you and then you give feedback on some of the things. And so in the future, it is about designers being more empathetic and being able to provide additional value rather than just the routine process. I mean, for a lot of the projects that I work on, I always tell the clients that for me, I always give 101%, and then the extra 1% is all of the free ideas and thoughts that I share in addition to whatever I'm doing for them. And so for me, it's about the little extra things that you're going to be doing for the clients that they will not be getting from any of these things. The little things like the checkups, the conversations, that from time to time checking out on their brands and then coming back to them with feedback, checking on their brands and coming back to them with ideas. Sometimes these ideas end up even fetching you more money, because then they end up putting you on that particular project. And so for me, it's about the other things, the little things, the personal touch, the things that makes you human, and the conversations. I mean, there are days I speak to clients for about an hour, and sometimes we just spent about 10 minutes or 15 minutes just talking about even their work. And then I listen to what they have to share. And then I share my thoughts on all other things. And so these are some of the things that will make a lot of difference when it comes to, and also I believe in the power of the human mind. I mean, And even though AI would do a really good job and with a lot of things, the human mind, I have always believed, will supersede certain things that AI might not be able to do. After all, we created it anyway. So I think that on this, these are my thoughts. That I mean, the empathy part of us needs to stand out a lot at this point. And it's one of the things that will make a major difference for the future of design.
Absolutely. And we keep coming back as designers to the word empathy. Mm-hmm. That's why our theme this year is Design is for everyone. And design is inclusive, accessible, empathetic, sensual, and open.
Yes. I love that.
Some of the projects we featured this year at the festival and on the platform, like the Blind Photography Project and Studio Hissy's inclusive Braille fashion. The Studio Hissy even made custom Nairobi Design Week stickers. So we had the stickers printed, and then they had a Braille machine at the festival to make these stickers.
Wow. Well, now I can't wait to interview you for our podcast, because I'm already loving what I'm hearing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, there was so much. We had a lot of amazing exhibitors, and and even something like Andre's art is really, really spectacular. Andre Bicret, and he does it with credit cards and old SIM cards.
Wow.
And it's amazing. I actually just around that theme of design is for everyone. Mm-hmm. Off the top of your heads, have you got any? Would you know any projects?
You mean here in Ghana?
Yeah, in Ghana.
Yes, I mean, off the top of my head, yes, there are a few people I could mention. Well, some of them. So one of the few people that I would like to talk about is, Simon Charwey is one of the guys I love. I love the work he has been doing, playing around with the African systems, and I absolutely like. I mean, he creates so many symbols and shapes from these. There are a couple of other people I know, but I don't really remember the names, who are using bottles to create so many impressive works. I think some of them I'll be able to share the links with you as well. And DTI is run by Constance Wanika. Constance Wanika does amazing work with metals, and they are lovely. She does some really, really good work with metals, and very, very impressive projects that she has been doing here in Ghana. And she's one of the people who makes it stand out for me that, design is absolutely for everyone. These are the two people that whose names come to mind actually at this point as we speak about this, and it really, really stands out. Their work really stands out for me.
So Simon's work, Simon Charwey, I'm familiar with, and he does really cool, symbol systems, and he's working on a directory right now, isn't he, as well?
Exactly.
So we're really looking forward to seeing what that is, and his Instagram and his website look really, really great. He keeps coming out with really cool symbols.
Yeah.
And what about Constance's work? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes. So with Constance, what she does is that she actually uses metals. So she runs two things actually: Ascent and Arts. And then she has a school called DTI. So DTI is Design and Technology Institute. And at DTI, they teach you everything about metal fabrication and how they are using metals to make center tables, interior pieces. And the creativity at which they are doing this is one of the things that really amazes me. So, they are using metals, all right, but the way they are using these metals for wall frames, for mirrors on the walls, for railings, for almost anything at all that you could have in your house, they could actually kind of replicate with metal. And it is fascinating, the kind of detail that she puts into the work that she does. And it always stands out to me, and it always inspires me about the possibilities of what a design mind or a creative mind can do. And share link to her pages, and you would love what you see. She has been a very strong industry player, and when it comes to using metal for any kind of work at all. So she uses metal for furniture, for gates, for for tables, for sculpting, and it is brilliant for balustrades to accent your house and all of that. Yeah, and that is what Constance does, and I have been a keen follower of her work because of the detail she puts in the work she does.
I can't wait to see that, and it's really actually cool that you mentioned metal. We had Farhia, Kashyap, and Grishon create during the urban residency with Kenya Lighting Industries metal seating, lighting, and basketball hoops.
Oh wow!
And you know the stuff that you can do that they're doing with laser cutters is really incredible. You can go down to a millimeter and can cut down jewelry, really. So it doesn't need to make.
Wow!
There's so much potential in these different manufacturing industries, and in connecting designers to different abilities and just making them aware of the opportunities that lay in industrial area, because there are so many manufacturers who don't really have ideas for products and would kill for a designer to just come in and give them a few insights and ideas.
True. That's really, really true. I think that, in these days, I remember I met someone who runs a furniture company. She does with wood. It's more of a wooden furniture company, and she was actually trying to find a designer to be able to kind of design some of the furniture, the products, and all of that. And from the conversation with her, I noticed that it was really something that really, really paid attention to the fact that she could have a designer come up with concepts of the products that she wants to be made. And so you are so right about that. I think that the design elements to most of these things kind of changes things and makes things look better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Speaking of design tools and resources, are there any absolutely essential and favorite design tools and resources that you always go to or would recommend?
Yes, so for me, I think that one major resource for me as a designer is Behance. Behance, I think that for every creative out there, you definitely need to have a Behance account, and you need to be on Behance. It's a very good source of inspiration for any creative at all, for any project that you're about to work on. Sometimes you can just even put together your mood board and starscapes off of Behance projects. And so for me, I believe that whatever you feed into your system is what you're able to kind of produce. And so for me, what you feed into your system is a lot of times so much more important to me even than the tools that you use in creating them, because I have actually come across people who use Paint, Microsoft Paint, to even do some really cool digital art and all of that. And so for me, it's more about where you find the inspiration, and Behance is a very, very powerful tool. I think Pinterest comes in second because, yes, that is where people pin a lot of the things that interest them, and so it opens your mind to some really, really good perspectives on projects that people have done. Dribbble is also one of them. I think that these three channels, as a designer, you need to be feeding yourself with content from these three platforms almost every single day of your life. You need to be feeding yourself with content. I mean, beyond that, the basic softwares are the Photoshops and then the Illustrators that kind of help you, and then simple platforms like Adobe Capture. I mean, if you're creative, you could have Adobe Capture on your phone. What that helps you do is to be able to even capture elements. It helps you find fonts. It helps you put together patterns. It helps you with colors. I mean, our environment is made up of so much color that, when you pick your Adobe Capture software, you open it, and then you even scan the room that you're in, you realize that you'll be able to kind of sample so many colors as well. And so, yes, for me, these are the tools that I think that for every creative, it's a good idea to have. Adobe Capture is really good because it helps you pick a lot of things from around you, and design is all around us, so it helps you pick a lot of these things, and then beyond that, it's the ones that you feed yourself with.
I have to agree. Adobe Capture and even Google Lens are very useful tools for...
Yes, Google Lens too.
I've seen insects on my balcony and I've taken a photo and Google Lens has just shown me immediately what the insect is.
Wow.
It's incredible. So now you can find the insect and use it for inspiration. Maybe it holds some nice patterns, you know?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, Adobe Capture has a similar thing where, I mean, just out of objects that you're seeing, you're able to even form patterns out of them.
So most of the tools you mentioned, Behance, Pinterest, Dribbble, Adobe Capture, etc., are digital. What about some of your favorite analog tools?
Analog. I mean, so for me, there's just one fundamental thing when it comes to analog. I'll just say a pencil and a sketchbook, and I say this because so I want to give a shout out to Waw.Life. Waw.Life is a very small startup in Ghana that sells sketchbooks for creatives. Yeah, so for anybody who's looking for cool sketchbooks to buy as a creative, Waw.Life can get you some really cool sketchbooks. So yes, for analog tools, that is one of the tools that calls out to me is a sketchbook and a pencil. So for me, sometimes while I work in town, sometimes I have a very small sketchbook that anytime ideas come up to me, I just open a very small one and then I put in sketches. When I come home, I have a bigger sketchbook where I kind of ideate. Sometimes there are just thoughts that are running through my head. There are shapes that are running through my head on the daily, and then I just put them on there. And what that does for me is that it kind of helps me speed up my delivery process, because sometimes there are certain things that I have already kind of thought through and played around shapes like that. And so sometimes I just go back to my sketchbooks and then I reference. And so for me, I can't think of any other tool when it comes to analog than a sketchbook and a pencil.
I have to say I've agreed with that for a long time as well. Drawing on paper has something special to it. So, and thanks for, by the way, mentioning which notebook and sketchbook you use, because that was probably going to be my next question. We've got a few favorite Kenyan sketchbooks of our own. Aragati make really nice leather ones, and wow, there's too many to name, but I'm currently using ones that I got from Quote Me at Nairobi Design Week, and they're really cool cardboard bound ones. So, and they've got nice brown paper. So I wanted to ask you about your plans for the year. You've got a conference coming up. So how can people be involved in that? And where can they find more information? And what are your plans for the year beyond the conference?
Okay, so I will start with sharing some information about the conference. So it's happening on the 30th of August, not too far from today. And you can find more information on it at www.DexArtmosphere.org. So DexArtmosphere is DEXARTMOSPHERE. So it is the regular atmosphere, but we decided to add an R because, yes, we like cool stuff. So yeah, DexArtmosphere.org. .org. DexArtmosphere.org has all of the information about the event and also has the registration link. So you just hit the secure a slot or you hit the register button, and then it will just take you to a form and then you can fill. Now beyond that, typically we do so in December we have an event called Space Bar. Now with Space Bar, just like the traditional Space Bar, I know it sounds corny, but just like that traditional Space Bar, it's a moment of rest for all creatives. So we noticed that, I mean, for a lot of creatives, they are working all year round. December, they are working. January, they are working. Every month, they are working. So Space Bar is just an event where we tell all designers to drop whatever tools that they are using, hit the Space Bar, and then do something fun. So last 2 years Space Bar, we had a party. It was a very fun party. Last year we went on a trip to an outdoor gaming spot, and then we had a lot of fun games. We wore ourselves out. We exercised a lot. We did a lot of fun activities here and there. So every Space Bar kind of focuses on an activity that just get designers to get away from their screens and just to have fun. So after Artmosphere, it is highly possible that's the next thing that we are thinking about. And because of COVID, we are trying to see what measures we can put in place to make this happen. And so Spacebar is definitely the next thing on our list. But before Spacebar, we will be testing out our design sensors. What we want to do is just kind of start gathering data on design in Ghana, and we just want to see the numbers out there. I mean, what are designers getting paid these days? Illustrators, what are illustrators up to? What are identity designers doing? I mean, just to kind of collect data. All we want to do is just collect data, raw data, and share it with everyone who wants access to it to kind of interpret it in their own way. And so between now and the ending of the year, it's the design census and it is Spacebar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, You've told me about the design census before, and it's something we're really looking forward to seeing the pilot come out and to supporting it. And as well, there are some people in East Africa like Hava Fund and Hivos and several others who are doing great work in documenting the creative industries and providing useful data on the industries. And we'd really love to support that as well. In that industry data is really, the data gathering is really important.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, like in our conversations, I think that it will also be something good that even Kenya can also try out. So, I mean, yes, we will want to also help. I mean, any other country that will also want to do this as well. We will share our findings, our processes, and everything, that every resource that we used in putting together this whole thing. We are documenting everything. So we'll share everything with Nairobi Design Week as well. And anybody at all who wants this information, we are definitely open to sharing it so that, I mean, we can all build the African creative space.
Yes, and if someone wants to see a design census, then I believe Design Week do a good one of the design and creative industries. And yeah, the information that comes out can be very useful. And I also like how you have at your events icebreakers such as console gaming and things that bring people more just a conversation over perhaps things that they already know.
Exactly.
Yeah, that seems a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, so that's one of the things. I mean, for us, it's not just about just coming to learn, but finding other people that you can connect with. And sometimes that can even lead to future collaborations. I know a couple of people who came to DEX and became friends through events and have started businesses together. And for some have working on projects together. For some have become very, very good friends here and there. And so that's one of the things that was very important to us, to have different things that will kind of make people connect with one another. And so, yeah, these are some of the things that really inspired some of these activities that we introduced.
Really, really good to see that. And what these platforms, that's what it's about. It's about people sharing and being able to connect independently. You can come across a creative on a platform and you can reach out to them directly on Instagram if you're interested in working with them.
Yeah.
So who are some of the speakers that you're going to have at this year's conference?
Okay, so this year we have Sunita. Sunita runs Basecamp Initiative. Basecamp Initiative is a co-working space, right? Where you can, and it's for creatives. I mean, not every creative has an office. Just like those times when I used to work from a coffee shop, that's a place where you can go and sit and then do your design work as well. We have Osmond Tshuma. So Osmond Tshuma is a Zimbabwean based in South Africa. He's one of the people I came across earlier this year, and I loved all the projects that he had worked on. He's one of the best typographers that I have met, and he does some really good type. And so he's one of the speakers for this event. We have Tunji. So Tunji is also a brand and information designer. And he runs the collective DearDesignr in Nigeria. They also kind of do what we do here in Ghana. And we have Boateng. Boateng is also a creative director. She was part of, I think, the recent young women Lions in Cannes. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the exact name, but she was at the Cannes Festival last year as part of, I think, 10 women that were selected by Cannes for one of their initiatives. And we also have Nana K.Duah. I mentioned Nana K.Duah earlier. It's one of the well-known identity designers here in Ghana. He has worked with some of the major brands that we have here in this country, and he's also one of the speakers. So yeah, these are the speakers that we have for this particular edition. And we actually have a number of other people who will be sharing their portfolios as well. I mean, a lot of times I like to have portfolio sessions as well, just to kind of inspire people. And we have Fawaz has been designing cover arts for some of Africa's top musicians like Wizkid and Sarkodie and Stonebwoy and a few others. And we have Yao. So Nana is a doctor, but he's also a 3D artist, and he does wonderful 3D work. We love his work, and so he's one of the guys who'll be sharing his work, and he'll be telling us how he's able to combine being a doctor to all the 3D work that he has been doing. So yes, Nana will be on DEX this year too. And then last portfolio presenter, who is definitely coming from Kenya. We are also very excited. Well, maybe I can't mention the name yet because we probably haven't confirmed, so I don't want to. But we are looking forward to having Wanjira Kinyua. I don't know if I mentioned it well, but we are looking forward to having her come and share her work. When we saw her work and I shared it with the team, they loved what they saw, and so we are looking forward to having her share her work as well on Artmosphere this year.
Yeah, those all sound really exciting. The stories from someone who designs album art and the other people you've mentioned, Jira Kinyua as well, from our community, Born on the Way on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so before we wrap up, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation being flipped on your podcast now. But
definitely, I want to hear all the stories.
So before we do that, next time, have you got any questions for Nairobi Design Week, for myself, or for our community? And perhaps when I either now I can answer them or put them out to the community for when I speak to you next time.
Yes, so I mean, what I'm going to do is, in fact, I'm not going to go ahead of myself. I'm keeping all my questions for when we have our hours, but I'll definitely send questions ahead just for you to kind of have an idea of a few things that I would want to find out. But I would want to say that great work you are doing there. I mean, when I went onto the website and I took a look at the site and I was looking at the projects that you have worked on and all of that, I was so impressed. In fact, I probably spent more than half of the day just combing through the website, just staring at stuff. I wasn't even really reading much, but I was just watching projects that you had been doing, and I was so inspired. And for me, all I can say is I'm really looking forward to our conversation because I have a lot of questions to ask as well, and I'll share most of these questions ahead. I think it's just the follow-up questions that would be coming as the conversation goes, but yeah, I would like to say that great work with the community. Africa is where the best creatives live, and I like the fact that you also believe in the fact that yes, design started in Africa, and we hope that we all get to work together and then build a very strong community for Africa.
That's a really thank you for your kind words, and we're really happy that the website is proving useful. And we're just reworking the website, so we're going to add more community features and make it much more mobile friendly, and people will be able to update their profiles from their phones. So that should make it much more of a live experience as well in the coming few months.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we are also exploring some possibilities with our website that we are still looking at. For now, majority of the work has been on our events website. Now we're trying to focus on building the community's website, and I'm sure we'll pick some lessons from your website as well, and then incorporate in ours. Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate your time. It's been really enlightening, and it's been a great conversation, just like the last one.
Yes.
Can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
Where can people find you? Where can people find your work, and how can they be involved, etc.?
Okay, so for me personally, so I'm going to share a few of the things that for me personally have been working. I am Ampofo.com. I am Daniel, DANIEL, Ampofo, AMPOFO.com. So, and on my blog, I'm just sharing the real stories of designers and creatives in Ghana and in Africa. So you can just check it out and read a few of the blog posts that I have made over there. And well, my agency is called 93 Studios. So 93, we do branding and advertising. 93 Studios, you can find 93 Studios on Instagram as well. And then our 93 Studios, our website is NINETY and then the number 3. So 93 and the studios, STUDIOS.co. So 93studios.co is for my business website. So yes, I mean, I double as a creative director for 93 Studios, and so you find most of our works on our website. And my personal blog is iamdanielampofu.com. So I think that's all I can share for now. And for DEX, yes, like I already said, you can register because we are doing it virtually. Everybody is invited. You can join in with your friends, share the links with your friends, and then have them join in, have them sign up at DexArtmosphere.org. DexArtmosphere.org. Yeah, thank you very much for this. I think the very last thing I will want to say is that Africa is where the best creatives live, and so we need to keep sharing our work with the world. It's very important to me, whether you're in Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, whatever country that you're in, whatever work you do, put it out there, share it with the world. Hashtag African creatives, African designer, African design. Put it all out there so that when people are looking, they can find the brilliant works that African creatives are doing. And that is what I would want to use to end this podcast. Thank you.
African design to the world. Thank you, Daniel.
Nitachoka kungoja, nitachoka kungoja, nitachoka kungoja, nitachoka kungoja. You won't find me here when you come back. You won't find looking me for me. You won't find me here when you come back. You won't find me here. Top of the morning, I just can't get over how pretty you are when you're yawning. So why you gotta leave me yearning? Why you gotta leave me burning? Why you gotta watch me falling, falling? Darling, you won't find me here when you come back looking for me. You won't find me here when you come back looking for me. Top of the morning, without a warning, you tore my injured heart. So why you gotta leave me yearning? Why you gotta leave me burning? Why you gotta watch me falling, falling? You won't find me here when you come back looking for me. You won't find me here when you come back looking for me. Nitachoka kungoja, nitachoka kungoja.